Well, blessed Wednesday to you as we come with your daily encouragement. And we are in the midst of Revelation 14. And we have the message of the three angels coming to us. And they come in the mid heaven. Now, what does that mean? Well, there is, according to creation, there's the land below where life happens, and there is a dome that prevents the stars from falling upon us. At least that's the way the Revelation envisions it. What we would also talk about is that between the dome and the land is where life happens in this world. And so this is where the action plan of the world is. So if an angel appears in mid heaven, it is just inside the dome. And the reason this angel is just inside the dome and not on the outside of it is because it is bringing a message to us. And so that is what John sees in this message. And it says in verse 6, Then I saw another angel flying in the mid heaven with an eternal gospel to proclaim to those who live on the earth. That's the key thing, who live on the earth. In Greek, it actually has the word who sit on the earth, who are getting their life from earthly things. And so that would be all living creatures. And what is the eternal gospel, the eternal good news? Here it is. To every nation and tribe and language and people. So it is not just for Israel. It is not just for people who believe in God. It is for all nations. And what does it say? He said in a loud voice, Fear God and give him glory, for the hour of judgment has come. And that is the gospel that we are to proclaim to all nations, that we are to fear and love God, have reverence and respect for the one who gives us life, and worship him who made heaven and earth, the sea, and all the springs of water. Now, remember, just before this, we had the vision of the Lamb on the hill, and it is the hill of Mount Moriah, it is the hill of Zion, and all the nations have been drawn to him. And so it is the first proclamation that this is the regathering of all nations, the 144,000. Remember, that's not an exact number, it is a symbolic number of perfection. All who have been saved have been brought in. 12 times 12 times 12. They are all together worshiping the Lamb. And so this angel is proclaiming that all nations now have been brought in. And so there is, following it, angels who will provide judgment. And we'll talk about that in the days ahead, but then let's turn to that. But I can't stress enough, this is the announcement of the good news, the completion of the evangelism of the world. And so we have that coming again. Now, if you're wanting to do a timeline, we can't be exact on that, in my opinion. There's always going to be future things, there's always going to be past things. There's always going to be present things, and there's going to be things in the past and the future. Remember, God, when God is working in eternity, there is an eternal time. And at least this is my understanding. It goes back to St. Augustine that when we arrive at heaven, we all arrive at the same time. The time that we experience here on earth is almost an illusion because there is an eternal now that is perfect, where we all are able to gather together again and are being brought forth. Time is the process of this world. Eternity is the process of the world to come. And so, in that perfection, all people have arrived to Mount Zion, have arrived to heaven to worship the Lamb that was slain. And so, that is the good news from the book of Revelation today. There is an eternal now. While we might experience the beginnings of life with those who have been born and the ends of life with those who have passed on, and those of us who are called to endurance, you're going to hear that word coming towards the end of this chapter. We are all called to an eternity that has already been perfected in Jesus Christ. And that, my friends, is good news. No, that's not everyone's understanding of time. There are some with the thought, mainly process theologians, they believe that time always exists. But if you look at what we have in the book of Revelation, even what philosophers have come up, there is a perfection of time where there is no more need for beginning and ends. There is an eternal now of God's gospel, God's good news. And so that is what's being proclaimed by this first angel. All nations have been brought in, all nations have come, and they have made heaven and earth and the sea and the springs with them have brought forth that full creation. God bless you today. We trust that these continue to be words of encouragement. We'll see you next time. Take care.